All right, today we're going to be taking the notes on solving multi-step equations, and we will have some special solutions here at the bottom. So when we're solving multi-step equations, the very first thing is we're going to try something a little bit different. Let me blow this up a little bit. So we have distribute. We're going to add and subtract terms to each side, combine like terms, multiply and or divide to solve for the variable. There will be an inequality rule, but we're going to cover that when we cover inequalities, which is over here on the right side. So instead, we're going to focus on these problems on the left side. I'm going to do problem 1, 3, and 5 with you. So on problem number 1, I want to go through and do kind of our normal process of solving equations. Hang on, I'm just grabbing a couple different colors here. So my very first step, I always want to distribute, because when I distribute, I go ahead and eliminate any sort of problems. When I distribute over here, 4 times 4 becomes 16a. 4 times negative 3 becomes negative 12. 3 times 5a is 15a. And 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. Now my goal here is to get the variables all by themselves, all on one side. And so I have a choice here. I can either subtract by 16a, or I can subtract and move 15a. And I always want to move the smaller variable in this situation. 15 is smaller than 16, so I'm going to subtract 15a. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. 16 minus 15 is just a. Nothing happens to the negative 12, so it's just hanging out with us. 15a minus 15a is 0, which is what I want, and I'm left with negative 9. My next step in solving the equation, and this is the ultimate goal, you want to get to this spot right here, because we have some number normally multiplying our variable, added and subtracting equals to something. And this becomes a two-step equation in most situations, and we're good from here. This is the goal, to get to this spot, and then it's just our 2 steps. We add and subtract, whichever one we need to do, and then we multiply or divide, whichever one we need to do. So the opposite of subtracting 12 is adding 12. And in this case, these zero out, which is what I want, and I'm left with a equals 12 minus 9 is 3. Normally, I would have some division here, but I don't have any in this case because there's just one a. Problem number 3 is I'm going to go ahead and use this method up here. Some of you may not want to use this method. That's perfectly fine. But I want to show this method because if one of my students like it and it works for them, I want you to have that opportunity, because for me, remember, it doesn't matter how you get to the airport, just as long as you get to the airport and help me out. Okay? So we're going to do a different method, but in this problem, our first step is always to get rid of the parentheses. So we're going to distribute. That's always our first step. Half of 6f is 3f. Half of 12 is 6. Nothing's happening with this 6f over here, so it's just going to come down. I'm going to distribute my 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times negative f is negative 2f. This is the part that's going to be different. I'm going to move all of my variables to the left side. I don't care where they are right now. I want them on this left side. Now, the idea behind this is this. If it moves, if it changes sides, it's going to change signs. So the 3f did not change, so it stays the same. My 6f changed sides. If it changes sides, it changed signs. My negative 2f changes sides, so it's going to change signs. It becomes positive 2f. I'm going to do the same thing with my constants. Six is changing sides, so instead of positive 6, it's now negative 6. And then positive 2 stays positive 2. You do not have to do this method. I'm choosing to do this method because I'm trying to show a little bit different way for some of my students to try this out. Now I combine like terms. I have all of my variables over here, so I'm just going to add and subtract and combine them all. 3f minus 6f, that's negative 3, plus 2, that becomes negative 1f, or just negative f. Negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4. So this is the part that I don't like about this method. I ended up with a negative here. And in order to deal with this negative variable, I need to divide by negative 1. Ooh, that didn't show up very well. I need to divide by negative 1 on both sides. So this becomes f equals 4. The reason why I don't like this method, but again, I'm giving you the option to use it, is because I end up with that negative, which is perfectly fine right now. I just divide by negative 1 and it's fine. But when I get to inequalities over here, if I'm dividing and multiplying by a negative value, it makes things change and it makes things more complicated. But I wanted to show you this method to see if you like this, and if you like this, great, and if you don't want to use it, that's perfectly fine. In problem number 5, I'm going to go back to our original method, which is to distribute, move the smaller variable, and then solve a two-step equation. So my first step is to distribute. 6 times y is 6y. 6 times negative 5 is negative 30. Distribute here. 2 times 10 is 20. 2 times positive 3y is positive 6y. In this case, I have positive 6y over here, positive 6y over here. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract by 6y. And what I notice is that these zero out, and I'm left with negative 30. That zeroes out, and I'm left with 20. Like our notes before, if we have this, does negative 30 equal 20? It does not. So that means no solutions. Meaning there is no value that you can plug in for y to make this work. That's a quick recap on our notes for solving multi-step equations with variables on both sides. If you have questions, always come contact me. My tutoring times are before school and after school. The only mornings I can't do it is Thursday mornings. Y'all have a great day.